Another former AEW star is headed to WWE, and now we know it's official. It is signed. The deal is sealed and delivered. We're going to talk about where that individual might be, Raw or SmackDown, some potential plans and all that good stuff. And I'm very excited about that, by the way, because with AEW and WWE, we've had a lot of conversations about this, but WWE has just been on a run bringing people in and presenting them well. So this one excites me. Plus WWE Mexico and an AEW return. We're going to talk about it all right here on the Ango Show. All right, guys, so let's kick things off first with Sky Blue. She is set to return to AEW rather soon. Appearing on Good Karma Wrestling, Kyle Fletcher was asked about Sky Blue. Now, maybe you guys actually didn't know this. I wasn't aware that a lot of people weren't actually aware of this, but Kyle Fletcher and Sky Blue are in a relationship. And he was talking about her recovery. He says it's definitely been challenging, but also rewarding in other ways, because as she's got better, she started going through her rehab process, and she was able to get back in the gym. I was able to be there for her and help her through all that kind of stuff, so that was very rewarding for me. Nurse Fletcher did good. It's now Dr. Fletcher getting ready for the ring. She'll be coming sooner than we think. And then obviously, like, this is great news. Sky Blue's obviously been off of television for a minute now. It seems like it's long overdue. And right now, by the way, let's just be really, really clear on this. The women's division in AEW has been so improved. I don't know exactly where Sky Blue fits necessarily, but I am excited about her return. I think she's a hell of a talent. She's very good in the ring. She's good with the character stuff. And at a time where the women's wrestling is actually being improved and you're seeing more women's matches and more women's storylines, I think that's a very, very big win for AEW when you have somebody like Sky Blue. So she's going to come into AEW. They're going to have to find a spot for her. I hope Tony Khan doesn't forget about her and like actually does something with her. I was really happy with her work with Julia Hart as well. And this is the youth, right? Like, these are the future stars. When you look at the women's division and you see Megan Bain is coming in and causing destruction, and she's doing good stuff, that's exciting. But you can't forget about the Julia, the Julias and the Sky Blues. So, yeah, I'm super, super excited about it. And luckily for us wrestling fans, women's wrestling has just been such a big improvement overall. So now we are getting to the point where, like, there's many, many people across companies that are just that good, right? And it's always nice to have that balance of different divisions all being propped up. That's obviously a big thing, and should be exciting to see what happens there. So, yeah.
Now would be the best time to remind you that we have a major goal to hit 100,000 subscribers. Over 40% of the viewers who watch this channel are not subscribed. Please click subscribe if you enjoy staying educated on everything with wrestling news.
All right, guys, and that brings us to our next topic, WWE Mexico. Definitely a lot of conversation about Mexico getting a PLE, and obviously, a lot of people have kind of wondered what would happen with WWE Mexico because of the fact that there has been so much talk about it. There was the rumor that WWE was going to bring Backlash to Mexico. Obviously, that's not true. We just saw how that played out with St. Louis being announced. But now on a recent edition of Sportskeeda's Backstage Pass Q&A, WrestleVotes reported that the idea of holding a PLE in Mexico has been heavily discussed. He says Mexico has been heavily discussed. I don't know if it's official. The London thing is always there, obviously. We know that. They're always wanting shows. They always put themselves out there to get big shows. Look, WWE is going to go where they make the most money. Internationally has been selling out just as much as domestic. So it sounds like WWE is bound to get that PLE in Mexico at some point, which I personally am hopeful for. I think the fans of Mexico deserve a PLE. I think wrestling has such a beautiful history in Mexico. I think WWE does extremely well in Mexico. I think WWE has a lot of great talent from Mexico, which you can't ignore. Dragon Lee and Rey Fenix and Penta now being in the WWE umbrella is quite helpful. But, it just seems like the same old shtick all the time when it comes to international shows. WWE does the international PLEs. They do the European tours. It feels like Mexico is always part of that Latin America tour, but they never do a PLE there. And I think we all know that Mexico will go crazy for WWE. I think we all know it's going to sell incredibly well. At this point, though, you do have to wonder what kind of PLE would they bring to Mexico? Because typically Backlash was the one where that was the one that people kind of assumed would be the case. But listen, I'm gonna shoot straight with you guys. I love the fact that WWE is doing international. I love the fact that WWE is globally expanding, but we got to hit some new markets. You know, Australia is something that they're going to be returning to, and that's great. But what about Japan? What about Mexico? What about, you know, other places in the world that they haven't necessarily touched upon? You know, Italy was rumored for a while as well. These are things that I'm asking because I think WWE is doing the international expansion, but to a certain extent, I do think they are playing it safe. So I do want to see some sort of shift here. Who knows what will happen? And that brings us to our final topic. Ladies and gentlemen, Rusev is back in the WWE. It's official. We now know WWE has signed Rusev to the company. This is amazing news, honestly. It's amazing. We're going to talk about the details. So there was some reports going around that Rusev was meeting with the WWE soon. A lot of people thought it was actually going to be happening at the end of the year. PW Insider has now come out and confirmed that Miro, formerly known as Rusev, has officially re-signed with the WWE. He was spotted at the WWE headquarters in Stamford, Connecticut, and he basically spent most of his day there. Multiple sources had confirmed that Miro's presence at the facility with strong indications that the visit was tied to setting up his return to WWE programming. There's been no date set for this. However, WWE is clearly going to have some big plans. Now, here's where things get really interesting. He was not seen with his wife, Lana. She was not present at the meeting. Nobody knows if CJ Perry will be coming back as Lana to the WWE. Nobody knows if she's going to be managing him on TV. We saw him in AEW. He signed a big extension in 2022, and then he ultimately requested his release. And we haven't seen him, man, in a long, long time. So, you know, the Rusev Day thing is going to be huge. I'm excited for that. But I am curious now because with him coming back to WWE, you just have to wonder, what does this mean for Lana? The belief is that he is going to go to SmackDown with Aleister Black and Rey Fenix joining. At that point, they're going to have a very, very stacked mid-card. I'm cool with that. I think Rusev, you know, 3-time U.S. champion, he's definitely going to kill it if he chooses to go after that belt, or, you know, we'll see how things maybe shake up with the draft. But ultimately, this is great news for WWE. This is great news for Rusev. It's official. It's a done deal. And literally any day now, we can get some sort of vignettes or whatever it may be. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, you can let me know what you think down below. And please don't forget, if you guys like more wrestling videos like this, go ahead and click subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.